O council of the gods, I come before you to beseech your aid. Do you remember the tragic tale of Odysseus? No doubt you have heard his name. He is the lost king of Ithaca, who for 20 long years has been separated from his family, 10 years at war and 10 years at sea. He was displaced by the wrath of Poseidon, my uncle, and the capricious interference of Zeus, my father. No mortals have heard from Odysseus's fleet for 10 years, but the lost king's influence lingers everywhere. Penelope, his dutiful wife, is convinced with unshakable faith that somewhere, somehow, Odysseus lives on. She is plagued by suitors who all seek a life and a crown she is unwilling to share with anyone but her husband and king. Each night she weaves and unweaves Odysseus's funeral shroud. When it is finished, she is to remarry. Telemachus, the son Odysseus left behind, is now 21 and grown, seeks endlessly to know the father he has no memories of and to defend his mother from the hungry-hearted men she cannot love. Ctimene, the only sister of Odysseus, is long married to the also absent Eurylochus, who set sail with Odysseus's fleet. She mourns a brother and a husband, sadness and hope living side by side in her heart. Helen, formerly of Troy, and her husband, Menelaus of Sparta, seek solace in each other while shouldering the guilt of the Trojan War's aftermath. Helen misses 4 children. Menelaus has lost brothers and sisters in arms. Paris, abductor and once consort of Helen, lies dead, no longer a consort of Helen, but one of Hades. His story, woven as it is through the tales of the others, with equal love and woe, we shall not hear tonight. There are many more souls impacted by the War of Troy whose stories we simply haven't got the time for. These are the heroes from other lands who came to Troy to defend Menelaus and to honor old promises they made to their dear Helen. There is not a town left in sight of Olympus that is not missing some of their loved ones. Yes, 20 years have passed since the earth-shattering conflict in Troy, but it still lingers as if new in the hearts of mortals. I ask you, my esteemed fellows of Olympus, hear me now, and see what this conflict reaped from our own vanities has done to the lives we created and keep. Is one man worth this continued wrath and mirth? Hear their stories, O mighty ones. Decide with me if these nobly intentioned mortals, however flawed they may be, deserve to continually suffer. If you disagree with me, I will forever leave the matter at peace.
Good morning, Your Highness. Breakfast is waiting downstairs.
Thank you, Nyssa. Any news of the king today?
I'm afraid not, my lady.
Enough of this. Were you down at the port this morning?
No, I stayed home. But Damon went out to buy fruits and fish.
Was there any news from the shore?
No ships have arrived. But any day now, the Ithacan soldiers, and with them King Odysseus himself, will come flocking into our harbors, and will celebrate the end of the war that stole my country and your king.
You've said that every morning since the end of the war.
And I've meant it every morning.
How many more weeks must we wait? How many months? How many years?
It can't be too much longer, I'm sure of it.
I hope you're right. Now go, start breakfast without me. I'll join you in Telemachus when I can.
Very well, Penelope. We'll see you soon.
10 years. Today it has been 10 years since that call with Menelaus, where I discovered Odysseus was delayed on his journey from Troy. I remember as if it were yesterday.
Penelope, what a wonderful surprise! How have you been?
Well enough, all things considered. You've gotten home from Troy safely then?
Yes, by the grace of the gods, but I doubt you've called about that. To what do I owe this pleasure?
Is Odysseus with you? He has not yet come home to Ithaca.
Why, no. We parted at Troy. I imagine you're worried about him,
Our
though.
son, Telemachus, was 1 year old when Odysseus left. He's 11 years old now, and he did not get to grow up with a father. So, if you know anything about where my husband might be...
Penelope, old friend, I wouldn't keep such secrets. If I knew anything, you'd be the first I'd tell.
I know. But for him to disappear like this, it isn't like him, Menelaus. I don't know what to do.
Well, I watched Odysseus leave with my own 2 eyes. Repairs delayed us. We left 2 days later.
2 days? You're certain?
I'm surprised he isn't in Ithaca by now. It's a longer journey.
Something must have happened to him. Odysseus wouldn't abandon his family.
There must be some delay, Penelope. I'm not sure now is the time to panic.
Well, of course now is the time to panic. My husband is missing.
I'm sure there's an explanation, but I could make some calls. Maybe somebody knows something.
Thank you, Menelaus.
It's the least I can do. I owe your family so much. Please, let me know if Odysseus turns up in Ithaca.
Of course, right away.
I imagine he'll be at your palace door in no time, armed with war stories and your favorite flowers.
I hope so. Thank you, Menelaus. I won't take up any more of your time.
When all of this is figured out, perhaps you and your family can visit us here in Sparta.
That would be lovely. Thank you again, Menelaus.
Of course, Penelope. Please take care of yourself.
Oh, Odysseus, where have you gone? Oh, here, my love. This will be waiting for you when you come home.
Captain's log, entry 124. My crew and I have landed on an island that cannot be found on our maps. The people here do not speak our language, but offered us some strange plants and roots to eat. I and my crew gladly obliged to join our new friends in their meal. I do not know whether it is the hunger and exhaustion we faced or some quality of the plants. But my crew and I have spent this evening in a state of bliss I have not known since before I left for Troy. Still, the feeling is nothing compared to the joy I will feel when I return to Ithaca. Hold my wife in my arms. And speak with my son. But my crew does not feel the same. They protest, they drag their heels, they do not wish to leave this land of peace, promise, and abundance. I cannot blame them. It had been so long since we were happy. Far too long since we've gotten to rest. I'll admit I myself have been tempted to stay a while. After all, what would be the harm if we lingered for a few days. But no, we can't. I must get back to my ship. Must go home to my old life. My mother, wife, son, and kingdom await me. Still, I am weary. You know? I need my strength to get home. Perhaps just one more night. Tomorrow, I will rally my crew, and we will reboard the ship, like it or not, and set sail for Ithaca. For now, though, we rest. Just for one more night.
Menelaus,
Penelope, based on your expression, I expect you have nothing new to share.
I'm afraid not. And you? Any news of Odysseus or his men?
You know that I spoke with everyone I could from Troy to Ithaca. Sadly, they know nothing.
Someone must know. They must have stopped somewhere after leaving Troy, for supplies at least.
How is Telemachus coping with all this?
He hardly remembers Odysseus. They haven't spoken since he was 10 and the Trojan War was newly won. I confess, Menelaus, I'm losing many of my own memories of Odysseus. My own husband.
And those suitors you complained of before, are they still plaguing Ithaca?
More than ever. They sleep in our spare rooms, they eat our food, they drink our best wine. The boldest of them demand my hand in marriage with shocking certainty they're worthy of Ithaca's crown.
I imagine you've told them to leave.
Of course. Many times. They refuse to listen.
You know that Sparta would support you if you decide to remove them.
When Odysseus gets here, he will send them away himself.
Odysseus is gone, Penelope. No one has seen or heard from him in nearly 10 years.
Well, unlike you, I haven't seen him in nearly 20.
If this is about the war...
It's always been about the war. You know that as well as I do.
Odysseus survived the war.
You think he wrecked at sea.
Well, Penelope, he is gone.
If Odysseus is gone, he's gone because of you, Menelaus. You! If you hadn't summoned all those people to fight for Helen, Odysseus would be here with his beloved kingdom and family. Instead, Ithaca is overrun with suitors I've been fending off for years. My husband has missed his only son reaching 5, 10, 13, 18, 20 birthdays with little more than a call or a letter. He has not woken up by my side or slept by me at night. You and Helen took so much from me, from Telemachus, and from the other dozens, hundreds, thousands of people who will never come home to their families again because of your feud with Paris. I know you would move mountains for Helen. It is admirable. But why would you ask us to suffer for you like this? Is it worth all the heartache solved for you and passed along to others? Tell me, Menelaus. Tell me!
It was never meant to be like this. I'm so sorry, Penelope.
You're sorry? Is that all? My husband has been away for 20 years. My son has had to grow up without a father. I have spent most of my youth living as a widow. And if I go and search for Odysseus, it's likely I'll make Telemachus an orphan at the tender age of 21. Do you have any idea what that feels like?
I didn't mean...
I know you didn't mean it, Menelaus. And I know Odysseus went to help you out of his own good nature and free will, but it doesn't erase any of the harm that's been done.
I know, Penelope. I feel it every day. Many besides you have expressed displeasure of how things have happened in Troy. And I don't blame you. I promise you, though, I never meant for any harm to come to anyone.
This is war we're dealing with, Menelaus. Harm is inevitable.
I know! That was a thoughtless thing for me to say, especially to you. But Odysseus, I never thought... Surely you never believed back then that he might not come home.
If I thought he might not return, I would have made more protest to his leaving.
And he still would have gone to Troy.
Not if you hadn't asked him to go.
I hardly had to ask him. Nothing could have kept him from Troy.
But Ithaca, our family, Telemachus.
He loved you and Telemachus more than anything. Nothing will ever change that.
Then why did he go? Why did he leave us?
You know what he said to me, Penelope? On our first night in Troy all those years ago, when I asked him why he finally agreed to come.
No, he never told me.
That first night, camped in Troy, I'll never forget it. Your husband said to me,
Menelaus, my friend. Look out. Look at all these brave and noble souls camped out on the fields before you, lit only by the stars. They are here for a noble purpose. Yes, it is true. These soldiers come to you, myself included, out of a sense of duty, of loyalty. To you, to Helen, to Sparta. But more than that, they are here because of the tragic wrong that was done when Paris took off with your Helen. Each one of these men, including myself, are here because we see ourselves in you. What if it was our wife within those walls? Our daughter, our mother, our sister. We would move heaven and earth to find them and beg our friends to do the same. I know I would. We are here in Troy because we understand your plight and we wish to help you. But also, more selfishly, we are doing what we would have others do if we were in your unenviable position. Remember this, Menelaus. There are people here tonight who will sacrifice themselves for your love. Not all of us will go home to our families at the end of all of this. Do not take that lightly. And when this war is over, may you and Helen live the rest of your lives in gratitude to the people here tonight. Know that the sacrifices made here are not yours alone to bear. We are, I shall hope, all here of our own will. But also know this. When this is done, I shall go home to my beautiful Penelope, my sweet young Telemachus, lay down roots in my Ithaca, and never head off to war again. Life is too short for anything but the pursuit of love and happiness. That is why I join you here, my friend, so far from home. Because if my beloved Penelope was the one trapped in that dark Trojan castle, I would start and end as many wars as it took to find her and bring her home.
He said all those things.
I swear on my life.
He went to Troy for me. For us.
In a way, yes. Penelope, I truly regret my role in things. I know I could never adequately repay you and your sons for all the years with Odysseus that you have lost because of me and my family. But please know, I hold your husband in the highest of regard. And if there's anything I can do to help, anything at all...
You can find him.
I beg your pardon.
Find Odysseus. I simply cannot believe he would die at sea. He will come home. He must.
Penelope...
I would go search for him, but Ithaca is infested with those hungry suitors who are desperate for a piece of what Odysseus has built us. I'm not ready to leave Telemachus alone here. But you can go search, or send someone to.
Penelope, no one we have spoken to has heard from Odysseus in a long time.
You said you would do anything you could to help us.
I did.
Did you mean that?
Yes.
I don't care what mountains you have to move to make it happen. Send your fleets. Go yourself. I don't care. But go. Find my husband. Listen to the words he told you all those years ago. It's time for you to pay back a fraction of the favor that the men of Ithaca and so many others, that my own husband, reluctant to leave his baby, who is now 21, might I remind you, did for you. Find Odysseus, Menelaus. Bring him back to us.
Very well. I will start gathering men for a search party in the morning.
Thank you.
It would be my honor.
Mother, are you in there? You have visitors in the sitting room.
Coming, Telemachus. Let my guests know I'll be down in a minute.
Are you all right, Mother? Nyssa told me you seemed out of sorts the other morning.
Fine, darling. I was just speaking to an old friend. I'll be downstairs soon.
All right, then. I'll see you downstairs.
Captain's log, entry 834. 835. Tonight, I am grateful for her survival. As I record this entry, I sit perched near the bow of my ship, watching the stars as we race away from the bloodied coast of Sicily. Despite all the blood I've shed and stolen in war, this ordeal felt different. Personal. I suppose I should explain. We were washed ashore on an island near Sicily. At first, we rejoiced to find solid land, but soon we fell into the hands of this Cyclops Polyphemus. He shut us up in a cave and sealed it with a rock, where we languished, terrified and alone in the dark for what could have been hours or days. Despite our pleas, our threats, our promises, Polyphemus was not moved to free us. Instead, every now and then, he came in, the hulking brute, and swallowed one of my companions nearly whole. In the dark, we saw nothing but the shadows of our friends disappearing. Heard nothing but crunching bones and our companions' desperate cries for help. 6 times this happened, hours or days apart, as Polyphemus ate his fill. My companions begged me to act, to find us a way to escape the monster's clutch. But I did not know what to do. Not even war had prepared me for this moment, and I feared for my life. So like a coward, I did not act until the beast had taken half of my men to fill his savage maw. Polyphemus returned again. I managed to convince the monster to drink to excess. Then, once he was fast asleep, I saw a burning stake in his eye, stolen from his fire. After he was blinded, I tied my remaining men and myself to the woolly underbellies of the Cyclops sheep. We escaped via the shore when he took those sheep out to pasture. Now, we survivors sail away. But half of us remain on that island, in the belly of a beast I was not able to fight. Their blood is on my hands.
Penelope, what a lovely surprise. I haven't heard from you since I left for Troy.
Why did you go to Troy?
Aphrodite herself had promised me to Paris. Who would I have been to defy the word of the gods?
Menelaus won your hand first.
But nobody ever asked what I wanted.
Did you want to marry Menelaus?
Yes. No. I'm not sure. From the very day I became of marriageable age. No. Even before that, if I'm to be completely honest. It was clear to me that no one cared about my opinion. Not about marriage or about anything else.
So you simply allowed it to happen.
Was your marriage not similarly arranged?
I love Odysseus.
Of course you do.
Did you love Paris?
I bore his children.
Did you love him?
I did what I had to do to survive, Penelope.
But did you love him?
Does it matter? I returned to Sparta with Menelaus. He always has been and always will be my husband.
You stayed with Paris for 10 years. In Troy for 10 years.
And Paris was kind to me. He was a good man in his way.
If Paris was so good, why did he take you away from Sparta in the first place?
Because Aphrodite
Promised Paris your hand in marriage. I know. Everyone knows that story.
But then, Penelope, why does this matter so much to you? I'm a grown woman who made her own choices.
Back then you were practically a child.
Yes. And I did what I needed to do to survive.
So you want to know why it matters so much to me?
Yes, I do.
Because my husband is missing. But your husband, who you left, is alive and well in Sparta with you. Your children did not have to grow up without a father in their lives. My Telemachus has.
And you blame me for all of this?
Thousands of people sacrificed their lives because of just how much Menelaus loves you, Helen. You chose to stay in Troy with Paris, to bear 4 of his children, to break Menelaus' heart and by my own.
I did not ask Menelaus to do any of that. I didn't start the Trojan War. He did.
Are you even grateful for it?
I had 10 years in Troy. And they were mostly good years. Paris gave me 4 children.
So did Menelaus.
And I am grateful for all of my children. But you must understand, Penelope, no one forced your husband's hand. Odysseus made the choice to come to Troy.
Odysseus swore an oath to protect you. He had to stand by his word as any noble man would.
The oath was his to swear.
Odysseus loved you. Before he met me, he wanted to marry you. Does that mean nothing to you?
Many men have loved me. Even more have asked for my hand in marriage.
My husband may have died for you.
And I wait for that truly. I cannot tell you how many days and nights I have spent lost in guilt and grief for the lives lost on all sides. Spartan, Ithacan, Sicilian, Trojan, so many more besides. I even mourn the life of Paris, who abducted me all of those years ago.
Menelaus has said the same.
He is a good man. And he never wanted anyone to come to harm. He thinks of Odysseus as a brother.
That won't help Odysseus now.
Menelaus has done all he can to help you, Penelope. The search party he sent out found nothing. You know that. Menelaus and I truly regret everything that has happened. But the past cannot be undone.
This isn't about the past.
Oh, Penelope, the Trojan War has been over and done with for 10 years now.
It's not over for me. My husband is still out there somewhere, and we are going to find him.
We?
Yes, we, Helen. After all the suffering Ithaca has been through because of your marriage to Menelaus and your dalliance with Paris, the least you can do is help bring Odysseus home to us. If you care about us at all, you'll at least try.
Very well, then. I will speak to Menelaus.
Helen? Helen?
My husband calls. I must go. I wish you well, Penelope. Until we speak again?
Until we speak again. Odysseus. Was Ithaca not enough for you? And how much longer must we wait?
Captain's log, entry 914. The wonders of travel always amaze me, even amongst danger. Upon flight from the monster Polyphemus, we were caught in a storm, again blown off course. When the skies cleared, we came across something truly remarkable. A strange island, which seemed to float above the seas. In search of safety, we parked our ship and climbed aboard, where we were greeted by the king of the isle, Aeolus, who has been granted by, Zeus himself, the great honor of being the keeper of the winds. Aeolus and his family welcomed us for several days as esteemed guests. Upon our departure, we were given, as a token of good faith, a bag of strong winds, with the instruction not to open the bag until we reached Ithaca. I agreed, and the generous Aeolus cast a westward wind to send us easily home. It has been 8 days since, and we have not rested or slept. So single-minded in pursuit of home have we been. But now it is finally time for me to sleep. For this evening, I have at last glimpsed on the horizon the beautiful shores of Ithaca. Soon, at last, we shall be home, and I shall see my family once more. You fools! What have you done? Did you not wait a few hours more for us to arrive at Ithaca? Huh? Huh? Take the mast! The helm! The oars! These clamoring winds may be the end of us all!
Telemachus, is everything all right?
Good evening to you too, Ctimene.
Good evening, Telemachus. I apologize for fussing, but you never call this late. Nor do you call without your mother present. Where is your mother? Is everything all right with her?
I'm afraid not everything is well with Mother. That's why I'm calling.
Has one of those wretched suitors done something to her? Is she hurt? Are you hurt?
Everyone is safe. The suitors are still here, eating our food and taking up every spare room. But that has not changed for as long as I can remember. Nothing has changed for as long as I can remember.
That's troubling you?
Doesn't it trouble you?
Yes and no. Some things in life should remain the same.
My father is missing. Should that remain the same?
Of course not.
Mother believes that father is still alive. She will talk of nothing else. She hardly leaves her room, except occasionally to appease those awful suitors. If only she would let me stand up to them, we could...
That would be political suicide for you both. Or worse. And you are Penelope's only son, Telemachus. Surely you must know all she wants is your protection.
Yes, I know. But Mother does not seem well. I worry that she will waste the rest of her life in the royal chambers, weaving and unweaving my father's funeral shroud. Unless,
dead or alive, he is found and brought home. I have the same concern.
what should I do?
Continue looking after her and keeping an eye on those suitors. I will speak to your mother soon.
You will? Thank you. And I'm so sorry to trouble you. I just didn't know where else to turn.
Well, a boy will turn to his father, and your father's absence is the problem. But you don't have to bear this alone, Telemachus. You have me to help you.
Thank you, but I'm not alone. Lady Nyssa has been helping me care for Mother for many years. She's come to mean a great deal to Mother, and I have grown quite fond of her as well.
Lady Nyssa, I see. Where's she from?
Troy. She is Lady Nyssa of Troy.
Of Troy? Does your mother know you're harboring a Trojan? That her only son is fond of her?
Yes, Nyssa's late mother was a family friend, and she has lived here unfailingly loyal for 15 years. She's also one of my own dearest friends, so I would thank you not to insult her with your suspicion.
You're right, Telemachus. I apologize. I should not make assumptions about your friend.
All is forgiven. I understand. Ctimene, do you think my father is still alive?
Well...
Answer me honestly, Ctimene. Please, I can take it. I'm a man now.
No. I don't think he's alive. If he was, he would be home by now. But please don't tell your mother I said that to you. I don't think that's what she needs to hear right now.
I won't.
Do you think your father is alive?
I want to believe he is. but I really don't know.
I understand.
Telemachus!
Go to your mother.
But
I'll speak with her tomorrow. Right now, she needs her son.
Telemachus, where are you?
All will be well. Go. I will pray for your father tonight.
Thank you. Coming, Mom.
They grow up so fast, don't they? Telemachus, the youngest of his generation, now a man. And there may be a woman. Oh, Odysseus, my brother. Eurylochus, my husband. Where have you been all these years? Missing your daughters growing into queens and your sons into men. Could it be true that you're alive somewhere? No, let's not think that. I have to be strong for the family. I must be prepared for the worst. To bed, Ctimene, and you'll call Penelope in the morning. Ithaca needs you right now.
Captain's log, entry 1012. Our crew has met with tragedy once more. This morning, out of resources and desperate for safe harbor, we docked at yet another strange island, seeking shelter, suspecting nothing. After all, with all our past misfortunes, nothing else could be in store for us. Right? Oh, how wrong that assumption was. A few of my men went ahead to explore the island, and they met a woman and followed her up the beach, assuming she would lead them to safety. But as it turned out, she was leading them to her father, the king of a race of cannibalistic giants, as it turned out, the Lastragons. The men we sent ahead were eaten alive. And more would be eaten later. How many more of my fellow soldiers will this journey consume? Those who weren't eaten were pelted by rocks. Most of our remaining ships were sunk, destroyed in the water. Yet more of our soldiers were captured or drowned, never to be seen again. In the end, as I watched from the only remaining ship, it was clear. There was no choice. Those of us still living had to leave at once, or none of us would live to tell this tragic tale. I have not slept for one moment tonight, as every time I closed my eyes, I am haunted by the images of the men I left behind, screaming and clamoring on the shore as my ship sailed away. I could not save them. I could not sacrifice myself for them. What kind of a king am I? How can I face my people? How can I face my family? I mustn't dwell on that now. Tomorrow I will make an offering to the gods to pray for their forgiveness. Tonight we race towards survival. There are still some lives left to save.
Penelope,
Ctimene,
you are not yourself.
are you?
Yes and no. I am myself because Ctimene, Queen of Samos, is who I am and have always been for many years. But I'm also not myself, for my husband, your brother, is gone, and your husband, my brother, is gone.
I do not need reminding, Ctimene.
Are you well? Do you need a doctor?
No, I only need answers.
We all want answers, Penelope.
Then help me find them.
Help you? How? Do you wish me to search the world with you until we find Odysseus and Eurylochus? Wherever they have gone, dead or alive, they can't call or write to us. If they could, they would have.
They are alive. Odysseus is alive. I know it.
So Telemachus was right. You still believe he's out there.
You've been speaking with Telemachus? Well, good. I'm glad. At least he's got an adequate mother figure somewhere in his life.
You are a wonderful mother, Penelope. Telemachus is a marvelous young man, and he adores you.
Still, for him to have another connection to his father.
Odysseus adored you and Telemachus. I know that if he could, he would come home straight away.
You think Eurylochus is dead?
I don't like to think about it.
I spoke with Helen recently.
What did she say? What did you say?
I asked Helen if she would help me look for Odysseus. She agreed.
What about Menelaus?
He sent a search party. They found nothing.
I imagine they both feel guilty about everything that happened.
They do. They both want to see Odysseus come home. Eurylochus too, of course.
Of course. Penelope, are you sure you want to keep hoping for this?
What else is there to hope for?
At least promise me you won't pull Telemachus into this. He is still just a boy. He has so much life to live that could be squandered. We can't let future generations also be ruined by the war, can we?
I haven't spoken a word to Telemachus about any of this. His choices will be his own, but I won't encourage him to go chasing after anyone. You don't have to worry about that.
And you?
I will do what I can to find our husbands, with Helen and Menelaus and whoever will help us.
I wish you the best of luck.
I don't need luck. The gods are on my side. Odysseus is on my side.
You compare Odysseus to the gods?
No. But the gods will be with him, and they will guide him home to us.
I dearly hope you're right.
I am.
Are you sure you'll be all right?
I have plenty of people to care for me.
Okay, but please, put on some clean clothes, brush your hair, and drink something, and eat something. You aren't helping anyone by wasting away in your room.
You're right. Oh, but those wretched suitors. I can't bear to face them today.
Tell them not to come upstairs, because you've come down with the disease and you're contagious. Then take your space for as long as you need.
A brilliant idea. I've also been weaving a shroud.
A shroud? Whatever for?
Well, I've told those horrible suitors once I've finished, I'll choose one of them to marry.
And when you finish?
I unweave it every night.
An excellent idea. May you never finish your shroud. I should be going, but you and Telemachus will be in my thoughts and prayers. Now, clean yourself up, get some food and drink in you, and get to your weaving. I'll call you again soon.
You're right, I'll do that. Take care, Ctimene. Odysseus will be home with us soon.
Take care, Penelope. I hope that you're right.
O Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, I come to you on my knees as your humble and unworthy servant. Please offer me guidance as I look for answers about what happened to my father, the great Odysseus. I wish for comfort and closure for my good and loyal mother. I wish for peace and stability for my great kingdom of Ithaca. And for myself, I only wish to know my father. Great Athena, please accept this humble offering. Protect me and Mother Nyssa, who I leave behind. As I go seek answers I will never find if I stay.
I am with you, my child.
Athena?
You called for me, did you not?
I wasn't expecting you to appear, Your Grace. I am honored.
I am here to help you. Your father is a good man.
Is. So my mother was right. He is alive.
I cannot tell you that.
Why not? I beg your pardon. It is not my place to question the gods.
Nor is it my place to interfere in what you are meant to know. But I can offer you some advice. I think it will help you in your quest to find answers about your father.
I will hear your advice if you think I'm fit to receive it.
Travel to Pylos and to Sparta. By doing so, you will demonstrate you have inherited your father's courage and are worthy of the Ithacan crown. Then you may hear news of your father. If he is not still alive, you will know it is time to come home, hold a funeral for him, and rule in his stead, honoring his memory.
I will do that, O great Athena. And if my father lives?
Why then, my child, you will fight to bring him home.
Will you help me?
I will be there for you, as much as Olympus allows.
When should I leave?
As soon as you can get your affairs in order.
Then I shall leave in the morning.
Will that be enough time?
If the goddess of wisdom herself is questioning it, perhaps it is not.
Patience, dear Telemachus, all will come in time. Make sure your mother is cared for, then go to Pylos.
Thank you, Athena. I am not worthy of your grace.
If you were not worthy, I would not be here. Be well, my child. I wish you a safe journey.
Thank you, Almighty One. Father, I'm coming.
is Helen calling you?
I don't know. What should I do, Penelope?
If she calls again, answer. I want to know what she has to say.
All right, but conceal yourself if she calls again. I want her to speak uninterrupted.
What could she say to you that could not be said to me?
Penelope, now is not the time.
Very well, sister.
Helen. Helen of Troy. Though I suppose it is Sparta now.
Ctimene of Ithaca. So you remember me then?
Of course. I'm sure there's not a soul remains who would not know you. Not after the war. So tell me, Helen, to what do I owe this call from the face that launched 1,000 ships?
You have heard the poem then?
You hardly seem pleased about it.
If you were pleased with what happened in Troy.
I'm not pleased myself.
So are you going to berate me too then?
You don't know, do you? I thought that's why you might be calling me.
I'm calling you because of Penelope.
Penelope.
Penelope of Ithaca, wife to Odysseus.
I know my own brother's wife. Why are you calling me about Penelope?
She seems to believe that Odysseus is still alive out there somewhere.
He's been missing for 10 years.
I know. And I am sorry for that.
You didn't launch those ships to Troy, whatever the poets might say.
You understand then? Thank you.
Your husband did. Because of his actions, my husband and brother are missing and likely dead.
Your husband is missing too?
My husband might still be, Eurylochus of Samos. He set sail from Troy with Odysseus and 600 others, all of whom likely gave their lives for you and Menelaus. Men you don't even care to remember.
I didn't ask for them to do that. I had no knowledge of what their fates would be.
You chose to stay in Troy.
What choice did I have?
I honestly can't say. Maybe you're right, and none of this was your fault. But if you can't be bothered to learn about those who died for you in Troy, at least learn the names of some sailors from the missing fleet. Odysseus, Eurylochus, Perimedes, Elpenor, Demetrius, Pharos. 12 ships, 600 men, all gone these past 10 years and never seen again since leaving Troy.
Why are you saying all these horrible things to me?
You need to learn how many hundreds, maybe thousands of people sacrificed themselves for your love.
I asked for none of this.
My husband and my brother were on the missing ships. My children and nephew had to grow up without their fathers to love and guide them because of you and both of your husbands.
Ctimene, this is simply cruel.
No, this is the truth you need to face. What is cruel is your insistence on dredging up the past when we could be trying to heal and finally move on from the horrors of these past 20 years.
Oh, you think I don't know that? You think I wanted to be ripped away from my husband? From my children? From my home? I was promised to Paris by a vain and jealous goddess who had no thought for what I wanted, what my family wanted, or even what was best for the people of Sparta. All my life I've been valued for my beauty alone. Your brother, my husband, your husband, and so many other men have wanted me because they thought I was beautiful. Not because they even liked me or even saw me for who I was. Paris, for all of his faults, did treat me like a real human being, even as war raged outside our palace walls. And I feared for the safety of the children that we had together. I thought it would be simpler to stay where I was. I now recognize all of the hurt that was caused, but I was also a victim, Ctimene.
Helen, you don't understand.
Oh, please, Ctimene. Be reasonable. I never meant to hurt anyone. Not Odysseus, not Eurylochus. Not any of those other men or the loved ones they left behind. Whether or not you want to believe it, I am just like you.
You are a woman who was offered the world and chose to leave it to burn.
No. I am a woman who was dealt a hand she did not ask for. In an uncertain world controlled by violent and angry gods, I was just trying to do my best to survive.
That's not what I'm
not asking you to find it in your heart to forgive me. Ctimene, whether you wish to believe it or not, I do understand the magnitude of all you have lost.
You do?
I do. There were no winners in the Trojan War. Not one.
The surviving Greeks might say otherwise.
It isn't about living or dying or prizes to be won.
Simple enough to say when you are the prize.
That is enough, Ctimene! I already feel enough guilt for several lifetimes for the things that I did not start. I do not need your anger, but I also don't need your pity or forgiveness. All I was trying to say is that no one benefited from the war in the end. My family also lost a great deal.
You? What did you lose?
My eldest 4 children lived as orphans for 10 years with Menelaus and I both in Troy. My youngest 4 children remain in Troy, a broken nation which hates us all, where I may never see them again. We all lost friends, relatives, countrymen. There is blood on our hands forever. I don't want to be the prize. I simply want to heal and mourn with the rest of you about a war that I didn't want any more than you did. Please. You don't have to forgive me or even understand me. But can you find it in your heart to please try to let me move on?
I'm not sure I know how to do that anymore.
So where does that leave us then?
I don't know.
No one is such a fool as to prefer war to peace. In peace, sons bury their fathers. In war, fathers bury their sons.
Herodotus.
Penelope, how long have you been listening?
The whole time. I apologize for my part in our deception. When Ctimene noticed you calling,
You don't have to explain anything to her, Penelope.
I know you didn't mean for our husbands to go missing, Helen, or to break apart our families. The fault is with that terrible war. I am angry, but I feel that it is of no use for us to continue fighting. Troy fell 10 years ago. Though we have not recovered, may never fully recover, it is senseless to continue the war amongst ourselves.
What do you propose we do then? Helen's children are gone. Odysseus and Eurylochus are dead.
They are not dead. Odysseus is out there somewhere. I know it.
You truly believe this?
I do. But alive or dead, we must find the missing soldiers and bring them home.
Penelope, even if they are out there, it's been 10 years. We've spoken to people from every state between our own homes and Troy, and no one has seen a trace of Odysseus, Eurylochus, or the missing soldiers. How would we find them? How do we know they even want to be found?
Odysseus would never abandon us.
Times change, Penelope. People change.
Odysseus is your brother. You know him from birth. He would never do this to us.
Sometimes matters are out of our control.
Look me in the eyes, Ctimene, and tell me you truly think that Odysseus, your brother, would ever willfully leave his wife and son, his sister, his mother, his kingdom. Can you honestly tell me that? Can you?
Well,
You look at me. Can you?
No.
I'm maybe holding on to false hope. Odysseus and Eurylochus and all those other men may be long dead. But if any chance remains that even one of them is out there somewhere, don't we owe it to them to search?
Yes.
And Helen, your children, are they safely kept in Troy?
As far as I know. The Trojans would never hurt one of their own, and they are the sons and daughters of Paris. But I have not seen or heard from any of them in 10 years. All of my letters have gone unanswered.
You write letters to them?
Every week. For 10 years.
And you've never had a response?
Not one. I want to help you. I owe you both so much. But I don't know what I can do that Menelaus hasn't already tried.
She asked for your help, Helen, not your husband's.
Ctimene.
No, it's okay, Penelope. She's right. I am not my husband. How can I help?
I don't know yet. I'll call when I think of something. For now, go. Be with your family.
Thank you, Penelope. Ctimene.
No need to thank us yet. Not until our families are reunited or we find answers.
What was that about?
I may not trust Helen, but she is a valuable resource to us, both as the Queen of Sparta and as the former consort of Paris. We might need her help to figure all this out.
Sparta caused this war, and Troy is the enemy. How could she possibly...
You heard Helen, Ctimene. She's hurting too. She has lost something too. She didn't ask for this war any more than we did. I know you're angry. So am I. But hating Helen won't bring our husbands back to us.
You're right. I just wish I knew what would.
I won't rest until we find out.
Shall I come to Ithaca then? So we can figure it out together?
I would love your company. How soon can you arrive?
If I start making arrangements now, I can be in Ithaca in 2 days.
Then start packing your things. It's time for us to figure out how to bring our husbands home.
Captain's log, entry 1200. 21. It has been such a long time since I have recorded the goings on of my journey. My remaining soldiers and I have landed on the beautiful island of Aiea. Here, the gracious and powerful Circe has been kindly hosting us. Eurylochus protested, but the rest immediately welcomed a reprieve from the seas. My men stay comfortably nearby, while Circe and I have been sharing her lodgings. It has been so nice to be in the company of a woman, one who knows nothing of the war, or at least speaks nothing of it. I have almost forgotten myself many times. Last night, my soldiers and I reunited for the first time in a while. They asked how I could wait to leave. It had been a year since we landed, they said. They were ready to move on. I had forgotten my obligations, lost myself in Circe. I must get back to my wife. I must get back to my son. With Circe's blessing or without it, we will set sail in the morning.
Still don't understand why you invited her.
She is powerful and well connected, and I think she truly feels remorse for her part in the war.
Well, I suppose you're right. I mean, she didn't ask for any of this to happen. Even so, do you not feel the least bit strange about asking her along to search for our husbands who went missing because of her?
I do feel a bit strange, but 3 royals are still better than 2.
And if our ship sinks? If we're shot down by the enemy? If we never make it home?
Our children are grown now. They're ready to do what must be done if it comes to that. But we will come home. Both of us. All of us. Even Odysseus and Eurylochus.
Your only son is about to sail off to Pylos and Sparta, seeking Odysseus. It's a dangerous journey, especially for someone who's never left Ithaca before and has no training at sea. How can you be so calm?
Well, as a mother, of course, I'm worried for my son. But no more than I would be if he stayed here in Ithaca, dealing with those power-hungry suitors who want nothing more than to take what is rightfully his to inherit. On a boat, at least, he's in full control of his fate, and he has the blessing of Athena on his side.
I wish I had your level of faith.
You have loyalty and a clear head. That is all I could ask for, sister. Come in. The door's unlocked.
Oh, Penelope, Ctimene.
Helen?
Thank you for coming.
Well, after these past 20 years, this was the least I could offer. So, we set sail in 3 days?
Yes, as long as the weather is right.
And who's going to look after your kingdoms while you're gone?
A good point, since not all of us have our husbands at home. But my son will care for Samos.
And Telemachus will take care of Ithaca, I assume.
Telemachus leaves for Sparta in the morning. I will take care of Ithaca.
Wait, are you not sailing with us?
I am.
But how can you be in 2 places at once?
Don't concern yourself with that, Helen. Ithaca is in good hands.
Well, I have no doubts about that. Anyway, I brought the maps you were asking about. Shall we look at them together?
Yes, thank you, Helen.
Nyssa, I thought I might find you here.
Telemachus, I didn't see you come in. Does Penelope need something?
No, I just wanted to see you.
Are you sure it's safe to speak here? The suitors always seem to be listening, and I hardly think they'd miss a chance to take advantage of the Ithacan prince liaising with a Trojan noble.
Not today. They're all out hunting. We can speak freely.
Not one of them stayed behind? Usually at least a few are lingering in the palace.
Because they refuse to leave my mother completely alone until she chooses a new husband?
Yes. In all my years living here, I've never known them to leave the palace completely unguarded.
Today they have. I will admit I may have had some help arranging that.
Help? From whom?
From me.
Who are you?
I go by many names. You may know me as Athena.
Oh, divine one. Pardon my boldness, but why have you come here to visit us?
Your king, the great Odysseus, has won my favor with his acts of heroism in the recent war.
Yes, but I don't know.
As you know, Queen Penelope is determined to find him, so much so that she has enlisted the help of 2 other queens, Helen of Troy and Ctimene of Samos, to search for the missing ships.
I know, but...
Meanwhile, Telemachus will also set sail to seek his father. I will guide him on his journey to Sparta, where he will request assistance from King Menelaus.
You're also leaving? When?
Tomorrow morning, if the weather allows. I came to say goodbye to you.
It would appear that I broke the news first. Yes, Telemachus' journey starts tomorrow with my protection and blessing. If Odysseus is alive, the love and determination of his family will bring him home.
I am glad to hear it. But why are you here now to tell me this?
Because, should you accept, there is a very important task for you.
A task. For me,
I imagine I don't need to remind you that Ithaca is currently overrun with power-hungry suitors.
yes, I grew up in and around this palace, and they've been here longer than I can remember.
With Telemachus and Penelope both gone from Ithaca, the suitors will be unchecked.
With all due respect, oh great one, can you not make them leave?
I'm afraid not, but I can ensure they are satisfied while the royal family travels. You can help me.
How can I help with that?
If you're suggesting Nyssa offers herself up as bait to those men, I simply won't have it.
Absolutely not. Nyssa will come to no harm, and she need not go anywhere near those men.
Then what exactly are you proposing she do?
If you agree, and before you ask, Penelope has already agreed to this plan, I will cast an illusion on you when Penelope leaves. The hordes of suitors will think you are Penelope, so they don't try to take over the palace. Take refuge from them in the queen's chambers and weave and unweave her shroud each day and night. You will have all the protection of Olympus on your side and be hailed as a hero when this ends.
I have no aspirations of heroism, but if this helps keep Ithaca safe,
Nyssa, you don't have to do this.
I want to do this, Telemachus. I owe this much to Ithaca. May I ask a question, O Great One?
Ask and I will answer.
Why have you chosen me for this? I am a Trojan, a sworn enemy of the Ithacan people.
And regardless of your heritage, you are brave, intelligent, and unquestioningly loyal to Ithaca. I can think of no woman in Ithaca who is better suited to the task, should you choose to accept it.
Your belief in me is a gift. I accept this honor.
Then the illusion will be cast at sunset tonight. Tomorrow when you wake, put on this shawl, and all but the royals will see you as Penelope. When the time is right, the illusion will break. You will be Nyssa again.
Thank you, Athena. I will try my best to do you and Ithaca proud.
Telemachus, best of luck on your journey. May you travel safely and be reunited with your family soon.
Thank you, Athena, for your blessing.
Oh, Telemachus, please be careful. I don't know what I would do if anything happened to you.
And I don't know what I would do if anything happened to you. Please, keep yourself safe.
I will, I promise. In case I don't see you again, there is something I must say.
Then save it, dear Nyssa. We will see each other again.
Do you promise?
On everything I hold dear.
Then I will speak of it on your return.
Captain's log, entry 1. I am Penelope, queen of Ithaca, wife to Odysseus and mother to Telemachus. I have never captained a ship before, but desperate times call for desperate measures. A kingdom without a king, a son without his father, me without my husband, all for 20 years. These times are desperate indeed, and I have had enough of waiting. I am taking action now. Luckily, though, I will not make this journey alone. 3 days ago, my husband's dear sister, Ctimene, arrived at my home, and together we made the necessary preparations to set sail. Helen of Sparta, the unwilling cause of that terrible war, has joined us as well, though her reasons for doing so are difficult to say. Is it remorse, fear, guilt, a combination of all three? Perhaps it is best not to dwell on it. Regardless of her reasons, she is here. Before leaving my home, we 3 queens prayed together and left an offering to Athena. I stayed behind without the others for a few minutes, telling Ctimene and Helen I needed the time to say goodbye to my home in case we didn't make it back. I was actually checking in with Nyssa one last time, making sure all was well and thanking her for her bravery. And while I am away, She will be there in my place, weaving and unweaving my husband's shroud, staying safely in my living quarters, protecting Ithaca from the suitors until Odysseus and I return home. We will both return home. Nyssa is ready. I am ready. My sisters in arms are ready. We've spent the morning preparing this wicked ship for a launch into the unknown. Everything is in place, and there can be no more delay. It is time for us to set sail.
Captain's log, entry 303. Our journey has taken yet another strange turn. Perhaps the strangest turn of all. As we left Circe, in a final gesture of goodwill, told us to travel to the underworld. There, she said, we would receive a prophecy from a blind man called Tiresias. And so we went. As I speak these words, I stand at Hades' gates, my soldiers behind me. My hands and arms are covered in blood from the 7 sheep we had to sacrifice to gain entry. Innocent, trusting lives lost. They remind me so much of those we have lost to the war and to the ill-fated journey home. Hey, how many more must die? I can't dwell on that now. I must gather my remaining soldiers. We will walk together into the unknown. Fellows! Are you ready to go where no living man has gone before? Excellent. I will lead the way. Are you coming? Fellows?
My son. My son, my son.
Mother?
Odysseus. Has it been so long already, or have you come too soon?
Mother, it is you. But wait, when did you cross over to Hades?
Seems the news of my passing did not reach you. My son, did you succumb to the fighting? Why are you here so young?
I am alive. I am alive, Mother. I come seeking the blind prophet Tiresias so I could find my way home to our family. Until now, I thought I was also finding my way home to you.
You will return to Hades when it is your time. We will be together then. For now, I'm afraid I must leave you. It is not right for you to be here. If I stay, I fear it will impede your travels.
Mother, wait.
Goodbye, Odysseus. May you live many years before we meet again.
Mother, please.
Captain? Captain, is everything all right?
Yes. Everything is fine. I am just... completing my captain's log before we continue our travels. In case there's no time later. Are the others ready?
Yes, sir. I will gather them. But I'm sorry to say, while you were away, Elpenor fell to his death.
I am sorry to hear that. When all is said and done here, he will get a proper funeral.
Yes, sir.
Captain's log, 1424. We remain in Hades with no sign yet of Tiresias. I have just seen my mother. The great Anticlea, who, unknown to me, passed away some years ago. I couldn't make it back in time. So what if the same has happened to Penelope? Tell me, what if the same has happened to Telemachus? Will I find their spirits here as I look for the prophet too? If I find my wife or my only son, will I want to climb back up to Earth, knowing there is nothing left for me? No. No. Banish that thought, Odysseus. You must remain strong. For the others. We must all make it out alive. I will mourn for my mother. Later. For now, all there is to do is wipe the sheep's blood from my hands and
Let me be, gentlemen. Evening is here, and I must retire to weave my husband's shroud. This shroud, weaving and unweaving every night for years. How does Penelope do it? How has she stayed strong throughout it all? Could I do this for Telemachus?
You have mettle in you, Nyssa. You can achieve more than you know.
Athena, when did you arrive? Is everything all right?
Yes, I simply come to offer you words of encouragement, to assure you that all will happen as it must.
I appreciate these words, Athena, but what if what must happen means that Telemachus and Penelope never come home to relieve me of my duty? Must I stay disguised like this for the rest of my life?
You are loyal and strong-willed, Lady Nyssa. Should the worst happen, I trust you to choose well.
May I ask you a question, Athena?
Of course you may.
When I asked you why you chose me for this mission, you said you chose me because...
Because you are brave, intelligent, and unquestioningly loyal to Ithaca. I expect you're going to ask me if there was another reason I didn't share with you that day. You would be right. There was.
My affection for Telemachus. I love him, good Lady Athena.
And by word of Hera herself, he's loved you since he was a boy.
I know this to be true, but we are nobles from opposing nations. He and I are not meant to be.
Times change. Hearts change. You are not just a runaway Trojan noblewoman, Nyssa. Remember, you are also the woman who is brave enough to risk it all to defend the kingdom she calls home.
Brave or foolish?
Brave and foolish often walk hand in hand. What you are doing is dangerous. There are gods with whom Ithaca has fallen out of favor, and if they chose to expose our plan, the consequences would be devastating.
I know. I fear it every day.
Yet you are still here, weaving and unweaving, standing strong for the people and the kingdom that you love.
I will do whatever is necessary.
And that is what makes you the perfect woman for the job. Stand strong, Nyssa. I will guide the ships of your royals the best I know how, and if I have anything to say about it, Telemachus will come to no harm.
Thank you, Athena. How can I ever repay you?
Penelope, we are nearly out of wine.
What? Have you drunk it already? It was supposed to last a week.
We may have gone too far in our merriment, but we are quenched now. We thirst only for your company. Come join us, Penelope. Take a rest from weaving your husband's shroud. Join us for one last drink.
As I've explained to you and your friends, I must weave if you ever wish to see me wed.
Surely you can take one night off. Or some of us can come in there and finish it for you.
If they come into Queen Penelope's chambers like they say, then I am ruined.
Your disguise is strong, Nyssa. All will be as it should be.
And what if they ruin the shroud?
Then their foolishness would buy you more time.
And what if they finish the shroud?
If any of them actually learned to weave, they wouldn't be so useless as suitors.
Penelope used to go down to appease them once a week. Nothing untowards, just one drink or one meal to keep them at bay. 3 weeks have gone by and I haven't done that once. They'll be suspicious if I don't.
Then go to them. Have one drink. I will stay by your side. And if any of them dares to lay a hand on you or even breathes in your direction, I will strike them down where they stand.
And you will stay with me the whole time?
Until you are safely in these chambers again behind a twice-locked door.
Why would you do that for me?
Warriors stand together in all battles. Come, Nyssa, let's go downstairs before they get too restless.
Captain's log entry 1531. Much has happened since my last entry.
In the time since we three set sail, myself, Ctimene of Samos, and Helen of Sparta, we have traced a weaving path across the seas, searching every port and island we can find.
My men and I have crawled from the depths of Hades itself in our search for home. The journey has... The journey has not been entirely fruitful. I have seen a level of pain and suffering I thought I left behind in Troy.
As I sail beyond Ithaca for the first time, seeking the lands of Pylos and Sparta, I find I am seeking more than just my father. I am seeking my manhood. I am seeking myself.
With each passing day, the hope of my companions seems to dim. I see it in their eyes. What is different for me, that my resolve only grows stronger? Am I mad?
My men were seized by madness soon after leaving Hades. Our ship passed by 2 sirens. The allure of their songs was nearly too much to take. Some of us almost jumped overboard.
Sometimes I wonder, when my companions have gone to bed at night and I have nothing for company but the stars and my own thoughts.
Is this all for nothing? Is my father at the bottom of the sea?
Is seeking Odysseus a waste of my time? Does he truly want to come home?
The sirens did not succeed. My men plugged their ears with beeswax, tied me to the mast, steered us all to safety. I stayed strong with these tethers and thoughts of home.
At Pylos, I watched as the locals sacrificed 40 bulls to Poseidon. It made me think of my father's travels. Was Poseidon on his side? Has he truly been spared?
In the beginning, when Odysseus first set sail, I lit candles to Poseidon. First many, each night, then very few, then none. I suppose this means I didn't keep the faith as well as I should, but for years the sea has felt more enemy than friend. I thought sailing might change this, but the sea has proven yet again it is not our ally.
We had no relief after the sirens, not by land or by sea. Instead, we were met with more monsters. First, Scylla, a towering snake-like beast who from her cave devoured 6 of my men. Next, we met Charybdis, who from her fig tree belched a whirlpool into being. My ship being wrecked, I clung to a branch for safety. Those of us who survived gathered on land, but still we were not saved.
Everywhere we went, I found traces of what might have happened to Odysseus. A sighting of his fleet, a tale of a long-ago storm. But no one we spoke with had seen him since Troy, which we rapidly neared.
Watching the cattle be slaughtered in Pylos, I wondered if my father had come to such a fate. Had the gods sacrificed such a noble life to fulfill some greater cause?
Our next destination, Phoenicia, was brimming with cattle. Eurylochus, my brother-in-law and dear friend, begged to be allowed to eat. At first, I was resistant. Disturbing the land of others had done us no good. Yeah. But, Poseidon breathed us a storm. And a month went by. Finally, our rations gone, I relented, but made Eurylochus swear not to touch the cattle.
One of the locals in Pylos offered me a knife, asked me to join in the sacrifice. I declined and stepped back to watch. Although I had been a part of animal sacrifices in Ithaca, I felt this is not my place.
The days and weeks continued to dwindle. We weathered storms, animal attacks, and threats from hostile villagers. I started to wonder if we 3 queens would make it back alive.
One early morning, I left my men behind and climbed to the top of a hill to pray to the gods. While I knelt there, Eurylochus led my hungry men to kill those forbidden cattle. The best, he said, would be sacrificed. The rest saved for feasting. 6 days, I feasted on those cattle. Okay. I ate weeds and did not join in.
As a feast commenced at Pylos, I wondered to myself how my father could have survived.
After we set sail from Thrinacia, wrathful Zeus sent a lightning bolt to strike down the last of our ships. I was the only survivor, left to cling to rubble and swim for my life.
Mother told me that my father left Troy with 600 men. Is it possible, if he is living, that he was the only survivor? Or is someone else out there waiting to be found who knows my father's story?
Sometimes, in my darker moments, I do wonder if Odysseus has found another woman, settled elsewhere, made a new family, given him more sons and daughters, understood how he changed in Troy.
After the loss of my men, I washed up at Ogygia. There, the nymph Calypso took a liking to me, and as her unwilling husband, there I remained for 7 long years, fed, warm, and safe, but missing my family terribly. When Calypso left me alone, I used the time to wonder what I might find if I made it home.
Does Odysseus even miss me?
Will my father even know me?
Is there still a place for me in Ithaca after all these years?
Eventually, I let go of my fears, at least enough to sail.
By the time the gods intervened and Calypso set me free, none of my worries mattered. I knew I owed it to the 600 men with whom I set sail, whose bones now lie in the stomachs of beasts or deep at the bottom of the sea, to survive, to come home and tell their stories. This thought sustained me, drove me, kept me alive, even when my raft was destroyed by Poseidon, and I had to swim for my life. With each swim stroke, though, I did not think of the other men. I thought of my family. With the left arm, I thought of Telemachus. With the right, my dear Penelope. So it went. Penelope, Telemachus, Penelope, Telemachus, Penelope, Telemachus, Penelope. Penelope, Telemachus, Penelope, Telemachus. Until, an inch from death and a hair from madness, I washed up on the shores of Sharia. There, I met the first friendly faces I had seen in years. The Phaeacians. They washed me, fed me, clothed me, and agreed to sail me home. For the first time in a long time, I felt something akin to hope.
I left Pylos the morning after the feast, having heard tales of my father from years ago, but getting no closer to locating him. As I sailed toward Sparta to speak with Menelaus, I started to despair.
One night, I remembered a time, shortly after Telemachus turned 18. After a particularly harrowing evening of dealing with those horrible suitors, he came to my bedchambers and asked me.
What if father never comes home?
I admit, I had no words. There were tears in the eyes of my beautiful boy, the first I had seen since he was a small child. So I took him in my arms, and I told him the most honest words I could. My child, I do not know.
Maybe nothing will come of my trip to Sparta. Perhaps this is a fool's errand. But Athena surrounds me in trust and protection, and my father and mother have given everything for me, for my kingdom. I owe it to all of them to try. So I will captain this ship to Sparta, speak with Menelaus, and do the best I can.
Ctimene and Helen do not know of the hard times, of my moments of doubt. I fear if I told them, they would talk me out of this dangerous journey. I must remain strong as we sail together. And now, as we are nearing the last of the islands near Troy, I must help prepare the others to come ashore. I am not certain whether it is better that we find something here or that we do not. Either way, I must brace myself for what comes.
The Phaeacians have offered to patch my wounds and help me recover enough to sail. Then, I will embark on the last part of my journey. After 20 long years away.
I must admit, Telemachus, I wasn't expecting you to arrive in Sparta today. Did you not go to Pylos?
I did. Nestor spoke to me at length about the murder of Agamemnon, but knew very little about what happened to my father. He hadn't seen Odysseus since Troy.
It would appear no one has seen Odysseus since Troy.
Nestor expressed his regret that I hadn't come here first. He thought that you would have more to share. Though I will admit, I was expecting to find out more in Pylos than I could find out here.
And why is that? Your father and I were old friends.
My mother's spoken to you many times since father disappeared. Unless there's something you have kept from her, I have every reason to believe you know little more than Nestor does.
True. When your mother asked for my help, I knew very little of your father's fate.
Has that changed?
You may know that your mother asked me to send out for a search party for Odysseus and his ships. Owing everything to your father, I obliged. although I myself was unable to join the search.
Did your sailors find anything?
Not at first. We sent 3 fleets of ships out in total, each leaving from Sparta exactly 1 week apart. The first 2 fleets had uneventful journeys, and arrived back in Sparta with nothing to report.
And the third fleet?
Scattered in a storm near Ogygia. All of those ships, well, all but one, returned to Sparta separately, carrying conflicting rumors about Odysseus having been seen in that area.
Then we must go to Ogygia at once.
No, Telemachus. Those rumors were from months, even years ago. If Odysseus was still in Ogygia, he would have been seen again. No, he must have moved on.
Or perhaps he died.
Perhaps.
You think my father is dead?
Though I dearly hope he is living, I do think your father is most likely with Hades now.
Surely we would know if that were the case.
Telemachus, people are lost at sea every week, if not every day. Even men as mighty as your father.
Was my father really as mighty as they say?
Pardon?
You knew my father. I never got to know him. He left when I was less than a year old, 20 years ago. I grew up in Ithaca alongside my mother and grandmother, while you fought battles alongside my father in Troy. You have seen a side of him I may never get to see. So tell me, Menelaus, was my father really so mighty?
Telemachus, your father was one of the bravest, fiercest, most clever men I ever knew. In fact, he was behind the plan that finally led to the fall of Troy.
Tell me everything, please.
You see, Telemachus, your father was intelligent and patient in battle. My wife, Helen, could tell you some stories from inside Troy where your father disguised himself as a beggar, dirtying and even scarring himself to infiltrate Troy's walls as a spy. He gained important information, but that was not his final plan.
What was his final plan?
The siege on Troy had lasted 10 years, and yet we had not been able to successfully penetrate the Trojan walls. We needed a different way in, but their structures were immaculate. They had no visible weaknesses.
So you disguised yourselves and found a way in?
Not quite. There were too many of us for that. Besides, not even Odysseus was entirely successful. You see, my wife Helen recognized Odysseus at once, but decided to let him be, as alone he was not much of a threat.
So what did you do?
We found another way in. Odysseus led the charge, out of the sight of the Trojans in the dead of night. We built a large wooden horse, which was hollow on the inside, and we placed it on wheels. Then we placed the wooden horse in front of the gates, and some of us began to sail away. Meanwhile, the others, your father and I included, stayed behind, hidden inside the horse with all the best weapons and armor. When the Trojans saw our ships leaving, they assumed the horse was a gift of surrender and brought it inside as a trophy. That night, the ships returned, and the men inside the horse snuck out. We opened the gates to the city from the inside and let the rest of the army in. There and then, the final battle was fought. The city destroyed, and the war won.
And my father made this happen?
Many were responsible for the wooden horse, but your father had the idea and led the charge.
You were inside the horse with my father. What was that like? What was he like?
That night was an excellent example of the type of man your father was. We waited inside that horse, 30 of us, for hours in the dark and the cold, with every reason to be afraid. I kept thinking we would be found out, and that would be the end of us all. But if your father was afraid, he did not show it. Hardly a word was whispered that night as it was, but Odysseus was silent from the time we entered the horse to the time we exited. He and I were the last to leave. And before we opened the gates, he turned to me and broke his silence. I haven't even told your mother what he said that night. But I think I should tell you now. He said to me, Menelaus.
Tonight, we put our lives on the line for you and your Helen, as we have done every night for the last 10 years. Whatever happens within those walls, know that I have fought as much for you as for my own family. I do not regret my loyalty to my allies, but I do regret these years, knowing that I missed a decade of my marriage, my fatherhood, my kingdom, and that for another's love, I risked what I hold most dear. My good friend, I fear I may not make it home. I will fight with all the strength in my body, but I am growing older. We have fought for so long, and against so many obstacles. I fear the gods themselves are against me. Even if we survive this final battle, there is a treacherous journey home. So I need you to promise me, Menelaus, if you make it home and I do not. Tell my wife I love her. Tell my son I fought for a better world for him to grow up in. And please, look in on Penelope and Telemachus every once in a while. We promise me, Menelaus? Promise me? After all I have done for you, I think I have earned the privilege to ask for at least that much.
Of course. I said yes to his promise, but I never mentioned it again. Until now.
I see why you didn't tell my mother. He thought he wasn't going to make it home.
At the time, I assumed he was just weary of battle. You hear these things often in war. But now, with him having disappeared at sea, I wonder if he knew, or at least suspected more than he let on.
You would know better than I would.
I am sorry, Telemachus. I feel I have not kept my promise to your father.
But you have. My mother speaks so highly of you, despite your responsibilities in Sparta. You have done so much to care for me and mother, to call in and ask after us. I am certain father would be grateful.
Thank you, Telemachus. You speak like a man, rather than a boy. Your father would be proud.
I hope he is proud of me now, wherever he is.
Oh, he is. I am certain of it.
Pardon me, your grace, but we have just returned from Phasia.
I am glad to see you, Anastasius. Did anyone in your company come to harm?
No one has come to harm, your grace, but I have news I think you will both want to hear.
Then tell us.
After the storm at Ogygia, we stopped for supplies at an island near Phasia. The locals spoke of a ship that had stopped there the day before. On this ship were a group of Phasian sailors acting unusually secretive. Accompanying them was a man, obviously not a Phasian local, who looked like a beggar but carried himself like a king. By the time we arrived, there were already rumors that the man on the ship was King Odysseus himself.
And you believe these rumors?
Not at first, but one of the locals we talked to saw this man. She even spoke to him for a short time while the Phasian sailors fixed a part on their ship. She described this man exactly like Odysseus, including the scars from Troy on his face and arms that the locals had no way of knowing about. Each was detailed perfectly.
So that means...
Odysseus is alive, or was, just days ago.
And now he is sailing towards Ithaca. I must go tell my mother.
Telemachus, dear boy, I hope this news is true.
I think we've been on every island in this part of the sea.
Some of them twice, I fear.
Very possible. The docks near Chios all look the same after a while.
Where do you think she will take us next?
Who knows? Another part of the sea. Penelope will travel the whole world twice before she admits Odysseus may be gone. Helen, I am sorry. I judged you before I knew you. You were stronger than I thought.
Your husband and your brother are gone because they chose to fight a war for me. Of course, you judged me before you knew me. In your eyes, I was just a pretty face, a prize to be won.
No.
Yes. It's all right to me.
I know better now. You were a victim, not a part of the problem. And as much as I hate to admit it, Eurylochus and Odysseus both chose to leave us behind to fight for you. That's not your fault.
Thank you. Yet, though you judged me for their actions and choices, you have stuck by my side.
Penelope is the closest thing I will ever have to a sister. I came for her, like you came for forgiveness.
I came on this journey because it was the right thing to do.
Not at all for forgiveness.
All right, well, there may have been some forgiveness involved. More tea?
Yes, please. How long do you plan to stay? What?
Just moments ago, you said Penelope would travel the whole world twice over before she admits Odysseus may be gone. I agree. Penelope will never give up on Odysseus. But you don't think he's anywhere out there, do you?
No. There were times as we sailed that I had hope, but it seems less likely with each passing day.
When will you return home to Samos? We can't follow Penelope forever.
No, we can't. But I can't leave her here, endlessly chasing a ghost on the dangerous seas.
How will you get her home then?
I'm not sure.
I want to go home, Ctimene. I spent so many years of my life away from Menelaus, away from our children together. I will miss my children in Troy for the rest of my life. But I have a family in Sparta. I'm so sorry.
It's all right, Helen. I also miss home. And I worry Penelope will lose herself to this quest. What will happen if Telemachus returns to Ithaca and she's still sailing? Yes, he is grown, but a boy needs his mother. And I can't leave Penelope to go and be with him. Helen, you've done more than enough. No one would blame you for going home. You have a life to live with Menelaus. Go to Sparta. Live well. Penelope will understand.
Well, I will return to Sparta, but not just yet. Oh, Penelope comes. Greet her, Ctimene. I'll get her some tea.
Good morning, Ctimene, Helen.
Penelope, good morning. Helen is making tea.
Wonderful. Ladies, I must confess, I think we've explored every island in the area.
Have we? Then, perhaps it's time to move on.
You're right.
I am?
Yes. We are nearing Troy. Perhaps it is time to go there.
Penelope, Troy is the one place we know Odysseus cannot be. Anyway, it's burnt to the ground.
What if it was blown back towards Troy? What if he returned there?
Penelope, there is nothing left of Troy.
This would make it the perfect place to build. Odysseus could be there. Eurylochus with him.
Penelope.
I know you both think our mission is fruitless. You want to go home to your families, to see your glittering kingdoms of Samos and Sparta. But Odysseus is still out there somewhere, and he wants to come home to his family and kingdom. We're soulmates, Odysseus and I. Even after 20 years, I feel the tether between our two living hearts. It pulls me still, keeping me bound to the seas, seeking Odysseus. With or without you, I will follow that tether to the ends of the earth for as long as I feel his heart beating with mine. I will know if Odysseus has died. I know he has not died yet. I will help bring Odysseus home. Or die trying.
Penelope, I
know you must think me pathetic, giving up everything in my life to search the seas for a man. This is about much more than me wanting my husband back. I am complete without him. I have lived 20 years without him. Protecting Ithaca from the suitors, raising our wonderful son. I have proven time and again I can do it all on my own. But I do not have to do it alone. Not anymore. I have the help of the Spartan army and the blessing of Athena on my side. I finally have the power to seek rescue for my husband and his men, to grant my son the father he has been missing. Tell me, if you were in my position, would you not do the same?
I would. I have. I am.
I would do the same for Menelaus. But, Penelope, we can't do this forever.
And I would not ask that of you. But if you would, please accompany me to Troy. And if we do not find Odysseus there, then perhaps it is time to go home. I will make a new plan, and you will have your lives back.
I am not welcome in Troy, Penelope.
I apologize, Helen. Even if you could come, it would be unfair of me to ask you to relive those horrors.
I will accompany you to Troy. Perhaps you're right, and the ships never got far from Troy. There are storms in that area often. If they got lost and stranded in the ruins, perhaps they're still waiting for rescue.
Once we're in communication range, we can check for distress signals from Troy.
I wouldn't rely on that. After 10 years and no word, the odds of any survivors having working communicators are next to none. We haven't had a signal here in days. With Troy in ruins, I imagine it's even worse.
Our communication devices, of course. We may be close enough to Troy to pick up something.
Penelope, we checked when we arrived. There wasn't any signal to be found.
I have a
What?
That's a miracle.
Telemachus, I must answer the village.
I should call Menelaus. He may have news.
Or maybe you just miss him.
Odysseus is alive.
What?
A sailor from one of Menelaus' search parties has just returned from Phaeacia. They have seen Odysseus. He is sailing towards Ithaca now with the Phaeacian fleet.
A miracle. Was he traveling alone?
No one else from his fleet was seen. I'm sorry, Ctimene. It may be Eurylochus is still with him.
No, I think he went to Hades long ago.
Ctimene, you don't know.
I do know. That tether you spoke of between your and Odysseus' hearts? The one you said that would only break when Odysseus went to Hades, never to return? I had that with Eurylochus. And I felt it break long ago. I'm overjoyed my brother is alive, but I know it in my soul. My husband is dead. Eurylochus is gone.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Ctimene. It isn't fair. Eurylochus was a good man.
The best. How can so much joy and so much sorrow live together at once? How is it that I can cry tears of mourning and tears of joy all at the same time?
I do not know, my sister, but I will cry with you. Oh. Ctimene, Helen, you have traveled for me long enough. Go home and I will make haste to Ithaca.
I'll come with you. I wish to see my long-lost brother before I return to Sparta.
And I will go with you as far as Lemnos. I have friends there who can see me safely home to Sparta.
Then it is settled. Helen, Ctimene, thank you both for everything. It is a rare kind of sisterhood that inspires a woman to risk her life.
Are you sure it's safe here, Penelope?
Have you been away from Ithaca that long? Eumaeus is an old friend of the family. I was not expecting you to question his loyalty, especially after he met our ship on the shore, in the dark, no less.
What? I trust Eumaeus with my life, Penelope. Since I was a little girl, he has been nothing but loyal to the Ithacan crown. I meant that those nasty suitors of yours are always around, and Eumaeus' home is on the edge of your property. They may wander out here unnoticed that you're in two places at once, and then our plan will be ruined.
We have nothing to worry about. Our plan is the will of Athena. And the suitors never come out here. They think they're too good to speak to Eumaeus. He has very few visitors other than Telemachus and myself.
I see. When is Telemachus meant to arrive?
He should be arriving this evening. Menelaus sends his regrets he cannot join us.
What does Athena have planned for our family, Penelope?
I don't know yet. But we must trust her will as we trust each other.
As you always trusted Odysseus to come home.
He made a promise to me.
As Eurylochus did to me.
You're right. I shouldn't take it for granted. I'm sorry, Ctimene.
It's all right. I'm glad my brother is coming home.
2 queens in my humble home. Never thought I'd see the day.
Hello to you too, Eumaeus. Any news?
Yes, the winds have worked in our favor. Telemachus has just arrived from Sparta.
Already? He wasn't due until this evening.
Perhaps he has the gods on his side as well. He's a deserving young man. He will make a fine king.
Thank you, Eumaeus. You have much credit to take for that, with Odysseus being away.
Ah, Odysseus. When is he due back? Ithaca's missed him, even if they've forgotten how much.
We aren't sure yet.
You should be prepared for him, don't you think?
Of course. What do you recommend?
Well, you're the queen, your grace. But if you ask me, I'd say you need to find a way to deal with those rogues who keep eating up my best swine for the past 20 years.
Absolutely. Let me think about it. I know what to do.
By the grace of the gods, I knew you'd figure it out, Your Excellence.
Eumaeus, for all you have done for our family, please call me Penelope.
Yes, Penelope. So, how do you plan on dealing with those nasty swine-stealing, bride-coveting plagues among men?
Lady Nyssa, currently in disguise as me, so the suitors will not be suspicious, will hold a competition for my hand. It will be an archery competition using my husband's bow, which no man but himself has ever been able to string. Any man capable of stringing Odysseus's bow and firing an arrow through a dozen axe heads will win my hand in marriage. Odysseus will not be able to stay away. He will win my hand and Ithaca.
An excellent plan. They will never see it coming.
Ctimene, I suppose you're wondering what I'll be doing. Well, I will fight alongside my husband and son to rid our kingdom of these 20-year intruders.
You think you can fight?
Well, I am more than capable. Perhaps, Ctimene, you do not know me as well as you think.
Well, I think you should trust Penelope. Between Penelope and the king, I would want no one else fighting by my side. After all, without Odysseus around, who do you think taught Telemachus how to fight?
Penelope, I suppose. But Eumaeus, who taught her?
Why, I did, of course. A royal should be able to defend their kingdom.
Captain's log, number 2000. This may be my final entry. I am on the shores of Ithaca for the first time in 20 years. ready to reclaim my kingdom. Finally. Blissfully. Home. Under the cover of this morning's dawn, a group of Phaeacian soldiers dropped me off at a rarely used port near the Ithacan capital. Scarred, exhausted, and disguised in a Phaeacian merchant's clothes. I walked around the town, not knowing what to do next. Every part of me wanted to run to my home, embrace my wife, and greet my son. But I knew in my heart it was not yet time. The people of the town treated me as a beggar. Invisible, infirm, not worthy of their time. That is, until I came across Eumaeus. Loyal to my family since I was just a boy, dear old Eumaeus took one look at me, past the grime and scars and tattered clothing, and spoke the words I had longed to hear for so long.
Odysseus, is that you?
Well, of course, I said yes. Eumaeus offered me shelter, had embraced me as an old friend. He told me of the suitors that had been invading my home, lusting after my wife, and threatening my family's power. They were still a danger, he said. And so we agreed. Hey, in case anything happened, now or in the future, the story would be that Eumaeus had no idea who I was when he took me in. Even Philocious, the cowherd that helped Eumaeus find me shelter, food, and medicine, had no idea who I was. Once I was cleaned and properly disguised, Eumaeus and Philocious took me to the shore. There, I watched as one of my ships, the only one from my fleet I left in Ithaca as an inheritance for my son, pulled into the royal docks. Home. Safe from a journey to Sparta. Out of that ship stepped my son. He's grown. He's strong. With the bearing of a true prince. He looked just like me when I was 21. But he had the smile of his mother. My dear Penelope. My dear Penelope, still on the seas, searching for me. It was all I could do, not to grab up my son, go back on the boat, and sail off in search of Penelope. My family is so close. My old life is within my grasp. But I must be patient. I must trust Athena's will. The sun is setting now, and amidst the bellows of Eumaeus' swine, it is time for me to sleep. Tonight, with my candle lit, I will pray for Athena's guidance, and will make.
I've never seen this side of you, Penelope.
Does it upset you?
No, it makes me proud to call you sister.
Will you come into battle with us, Ctimene?
No, it is not my place. Anyway, I was never taught how to fight.
Will you observe at least? You could sit with Nyssa and watch.
Thank you, but no, I think I'll stay here. You have your journey. I have mine.
Very well. You will be safe here in Eumaeus' hut.
I know. Odysseus and I came here many times when I was a girl. We often came with our father, who used to sail with Eumaeus as his trusted captain. Upon retirement from the sea, Eumaeus came here and settled in with his swine. Ever since, he has been a treasured and trusted friend of the family.
Odysseus never told me this. But never mind. Telemachus is coming.
Mother,
Telemachus, you're safe.
so are you.
Your father is due home any time now. We have a plan for him to take the kingdom back from those horrible suitors, but you have to trust that I know what I'm doing.
Does father know this is happening? Have you spoken with him yet?
No, but I trust him to know his part. Do you?
He is my father. Of course I trust him. Yes, I have no memories of him, but I have heard so many strange and wonderful tales of his life that I feel I do know him. And I trust him, for he has earned the trust and love of the people I hold most dear. I will join you, mother, in battle with him, and do so without reservation.
Lady Penelope, Prince Telemachus, the time has come. Are you prepared?
Yes, I'm ready.
So am I.
Then bid goodbye to the good Lady Ctimene, and I will lead you to the tournament.
Good luck, Penelope, Telemachus. I will light a candle to Athena in your honor and defense. O Eurylochus, wherever you are, may your soul be kept safe, either in Hades or on your way back to me in Samos. If in Hades, may you be kept safe until I join you. If in Samos, give me the strength to forgive you.
A beautiful offering, my lady.
Eumaeus, are you not joining the others in battle?
No. I am too old. My fighting years are long past me. Plus, someone has to look after the swine.
Even after all these years, you really are the same old Eumaeus.
For better or worse. Lady Ctimene, there is something I must tell you.
What is it, Eumaeus?
I met King Odysseus on the docks when he first arrived. He gave me this ring and this letter.
Eurylochus's wedding band and this letter?
When the fleet that carried Eurylochus and Odysseus first set sail from Troy, they experienced a terrible storm. There were moments where they thought no one would make it. But by some miracle, every man on every ship came out of it alive. After that, Eurylochus and Odysseus made a pact. While they were sailing, they would carry each other's wedding rings, and that very night, each man would write a letter of farewell to his wife. If one of them died and the other survived, the surviving man was tasked with returning the ring and the letter to the other's bride. Odysseus is a man of his word, but he is otherwise accompanied. He asked me to give you those.
And where is my brother's ring?
With the letter he wrote to Penelope at the bottom of the sea.
And my husband?
Drowned in a storm near Aea. I'm so sorry, Lady Ctimene. I only met Eurylochus in passing, but by all accounts he was a kind and noble man.
Thank you, Eumaeus. I must admit, on some level I already knew. It doesn't make it any easier, does it?
No, I imagine not.
I would like to read the letter now.
Of course. Shall I give you some space?
No, thank you. If you don't mind, I'd rather not process this alone.
Of course. I will sit with you as long as you need.
Eumaeus,
Lady Ctimene,
he's really gone.
I'm afraid so.
I'm not sure how to feel, Eumaeus. My husband is gone forever, but my dear brother, who sailed by his side, has returned safely home. There's so much joy and sorrow all at once that I don't know how to carry it.
Carry it as you will, my lady, but do not carry it alone.
Thank you, Eumaeus.
You have nothing to thank me for, lady. I am only doing my duty as your family's loyal friend. Oh, gods, help this good lady in her time of grief. May we understand your intentions, cool and kind, and move on from our losses to rebuild our broken kingdoms anew.
O Council of the Gods, esteemed brothers and sisters, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons. Now you have heard the story of Odysseus, but also you have heard the story of the family and friends he left behind, of the desperate search for the fallen men of Troy, of those who lost their lives in the simple quest to come home. Did they deserve to die? Did they deserve the wrath of Poseidon, my uncle, of Zeus, my father? Yes, commands were not heeded. Yes, mistakes were made. And yes, lives on both sides were lost. I mourn my Cyclops cousin Polyphemus with the rest of those men that the sea swallowed whole. May Polyphemus' soul rest in peace. But after 10 years and 10 times as many trials, hasn't enough blood been shed on both to atone for the sins of these men who were just trying to survive? Let me remind you of the lives that were lost. 600 soldiers in 12 ships now lie at the bottom of the sea. Yes, 600 men were lost, a tragedy of epic scale, greater than most battles ever fought by human men. 601 men set sail. Only one of them remains on Earth's side of Hades. As you and I well know, that man is Odysseus, king of Ithaca. A king living but lost. He's done his best in a bad situation. He fought 10 years for the honor of a queen not his own, sacrificing a decade of his mortal life to do so. Another 10 years he's been fighting his way home. And tonight, he came ashore on Ithaca for the first time in 20 years. He prepares to fight, to take back his kingdom with his wife and his son by his side, and I wish to be beside them all, giving him blessings in battle. My council of the gods, I see you are unsmiling. You will not join me in my quest to seek justice for Odysseus. Very well, then. I will do it alone. I only ask that you do not stand in my way. Dear colleagues, the battle has ended. The wretched suitors bleeding. Ithaca is in safe hands. Odysseus has won.
My dear Penelope, how glorious it is to see you again.
Odysseus? You knew it was me fighting beside you?
I knew it once. And you knew it was me, the old beggar fighting for your hand?
Of course. I would know my husband anywhere and by any face.
Oh, Penelope. It's been a long 20 years without you. But I am home at last.
I knew you were out there somewhere, fighting to come home.
You waited for me all this time.
I also searched for you. If I had to, I would have sought you until the day I died.
I am sorry you had to wait for me and to search for me for as long as you did.
It was worth every moment. For now, praise Athena, you are home at last.
Can you ever forgive me for leaving you?
I already have.
Telemachus, my only son.
Father.
You You have grown from boy to man without a father by your side. That is my greatest regret. Why, the last time I saw you, you were a baby. You were a baby. But today, here you were. Battling our enemies is my equal. Your mother has raised you well. Yes. After today, you have more than proven yourself a worthy heir to Ithaca's throne.
Thank you, Father.
I am afraid, though, that you will have to wait to assume the throne for a while longer. Ithaca has been in good hands with your mother, but I still have some unfinished business here.
I am not ready to be king, Father. I haven't even taken a queen yet, and I don't wish to rule alone.
Someone told me you had your eyes on a maiden.
Yes, I have. Nyssa, are you ready to meet my father?
I would be honored. My name is Nyssa, Your Majesty.
You may take off your disguise now. It has served its purpose. Your bravery is to be commended, Lady Nyssa.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
There is no need for you to bow to anyone today. You are a hero in Ithaca.
You may not think so once you learn where I am from, but I am not ashamed. My full name is Lady Nyssa of Troy. My mother, a noble, was a dear friend of Queen Penelope's, and 15 years ago, when our family was threatened by the war, my mother snuck me out on a trader ship to Lemnos, whereafter I was ferried in secret to Ithaca. I was welcomed as a family friend, and no one outside the palace knew I was Trojan. I grew up with Telemachus as my best confidant and friend, and now, Your Majesty, we are in love.
Is this true, my son?
Yes.
Then you have my blessing. The Trojan War has divided enough lovers. Why should it part you?
You have my blessing too. Perhaps we should give these two a private moment.
Nyssa, I have always loved you. Your bravery these past weeks has proven you are the most amazing woman I've ever met. I was even willing to run away with you if my father disapproved of our union.
And leave your mother behind? I couldn't bear it any more than I can stand to see you wed another.
Nyssa, I know we are young, but we have the royal blessing. Will you honor me with marriage?
Yes, Telemachus, I will marry you. But we do need one more blessing first. A heavenly one. O blessed Athena, we ask your blessing for a marriage union. I, Nyssa, once noble woman of Troy, wish to wed Telemachus, the only prince and heir of Ithaca. We know this to be an unlikely pairing, being from warring kingdoms, but we are truly in love, and your grace has brought us together. We have the blessing of the Ithacan crown, and now we seek your approval. If you are willing to bless this union, light this candle. A small gift, but all we have to offer at this moment. If we do not gain your blessing, we will listen, part, and go our separate ways. Thank you for your blessing, Throughout our whole lives together, we will honor you in everything we do.
Mother, father, Athena has given her blessing. Nyssa and I will be wed.
Oh, what wonderful news! Come, we must prepare.
So soon?
Well, of course, if you would like some more time first.
No, I have been ready for this for a long time, but the haste surprises me.
Why not make haste? There is much to celebrate. The royal family is all gathered.
Or what's left of it.
Yes, there is much to mourn as well.
But today is a day of celebration. After all, something good must come of all this bloodshed.
Will you stay for the wedding, Ctimene?
Of course. I wouldn't miss my only nephew's wedding.
Then we shall have it tomorrow morning, or evening. If that's all right with you, Nyssa? Mother, father?
That sounds perfect, Telemachus.
Then there is much work to be done. Come, Telemachus. Nyssa, there are preparations to be made.
Odysseus. Home at last. I can hardly believe my eyes.
It is good to see you, Ctimene. I understand Eumaeus returned the ring and letter to you.
Yes. He did.
I am so sorry, Ctimene.
It's not your fault. I know Eurylochus. I know he fought hard to come home.
He did. He was a mighty sailor and a good man. And he loved you and your children very much.
I know. He will be missed in Samos.
He will be missed in Ithaca too. We will have a memorial to honor the fallen men of the journey back to Ithaca once the wedding festivities are over. You will be invited, of course, as a guest of honor. But I cannot offer you passage home after the celebrations, I am afraid. I have no sailors or ships left to spare.
I will take you back to Samos, my lady. It has been far too long since I've captained a ship.
I can think of no one I would trust more.
My friend, you have done your duty well. There will be a banquet in your honor, and 100 swine added to your herd. No suitors will eat your livestock anymore. And my family will forever be in your debt.
Dear Eumaeus, I believe we are needed elsewhere. Perhaps we can find you some formal wear for the wedding amongst Odysseus's old clothing.
I couldn't possibly wear the clothing of the king.
Oh, but you can. Go, my friend. I will see you this evening at supper. Penelope?
Odysseus.
There is so much that I've wanted to say to you for so long. I don't know where to start.
You left us.
I know.
And you came back.
You never left my mind.
You missed our son growing up.
I will never forgive myself for that.
But you get to watch him marry.
I never thought I'd see the day. Can you ever forgive me, Penelope?
Can you ever forgive me for doubting you?
My love, you have been nothing but my champion.
Then you do forgive me.
There is nothing to forgive. Do you forgive me?
I will. My love for you is far greater than the pain of 2 decades spent without you.
Then we have more to celebrate. My queen.
Yes, I suppose we do. Will I ever know the story of your journey?
My love, I will tell you everything you want to know.
20 years is a long time. A lot of stories.
We will have the rest of our lives for stories. I also have something that might help things along.
What is this?
A recording of the captain's logs I have kept over the last 10 years. It details my entire journey from Troy to Ithaca. You are welcome to listen to as much of it as you like.
Everything is in here?
Yes. Everything. It is all besides me that survived my journey from Ithaca.
It is a miracle.
It is no accident. I protected those words with my life. For if the journey killed me, I wanted to be sure that someone knew what happened to me and my soldiers. Will you listen to these stories, Penelope?
Maybe. Perhaps I'll give them to that elderly writer who lives in that hermitage on the shore. I think his name is Homer. Then he can record your stories, and I can hear them from your own mouth.
Whatever you prefer, my queen.
Father, Eumaeus has chosen a wedding outfit. Will you come give your approval?
Go. Your son needs you. We will have plenty of time to talk later.
A lifetime. Captain's log. Entry 1. After many hard years of bloodshed, the war is over at last. We have bid farewell to our comrades in arms. Today we set sail from Troy towards home, towards Ithaca. At last.